Hello and welcome to the Cosy Corner Podcast. So, I recently had a very interesting chat with Amanda, the Scouse Queen representing Liverpool in the Squid Games challenge. So, let's have a little look at my conversation. We hear all about the behind the scenes and the glass bridge, and lots of different games, lots of different inside information, and overall, it's just a really good chat. So, let's get into it. Thank you so much for joining me. This is really exciting because I am such a big fan of Squid Games and then Squid Game the challenge. Like it's been so exciting to actually see it play out properly.
Yeah.
Not properly because no one actually dies, thank goodness. We
Yeah.
wouldn't want that. But it has a
We've
lot of
seen
realism.
some good fake dying though.
Oh, yes, the dramatics. I've enjoyed that immensely. So yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, sure. So I am Amanda Taylor, and as you can tell, I'm from Liverpool. I grew up in Highton. Can hear people now saying, "What colour was the bin? How Scouse are you?"
You get it everywhere in Liverpool.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up in Highton. I'm an only child, as in I've got no siblings. Just me, my mum and my dad. I've now got 3 children. I've got a daughter and 2 boys, who are my absolute world, and I've got a whole bunch of animals.
Wow,
I've got
really?
killers and everything that are just trying to eat my house down. Yeah. And in terms of work, I am a HR manager. I work in human resources and I develop leaders. So I focus on, delivering sessions on leadership skills. So people who are going to lead and, rule.
Brilliant. Love that. So how did your family feel about you going into Squid Games, the challenge?
You know what? I applied and I never told anyone. I never said a thing. And then I got a phone call on my birthday, believe it or not. I was at Thorpe Park. I was at the theme park queuing for a ride and I got this random phone call and I was like, hello? What? Oh, yeah, that thing I applied for. And my family were just like, no way. No chance would we be doing that. Like, they were like, you're mad. I can't believe you're going for it. Because we've all seen the show, like we've seen Squid Game, we've seen what happens. You're like, what really you would put yourself through that and those conditions? But yeah, I was like, yeah, I was like, well up for it.
What made you want to apply?
Initially when I seen the advert, I was like, it was like a minute casting call, like interview, shall we say. I needed to record it. And in that 1 minute, it was things like, who are you? Where are you from? What would your strategy be? What would you do with the money? And as I read the interview, the advert, I was like, answering it, I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I can do that. I was like, I can do that. 1 minute. What's 1 minute out of me day? And it landed me here. Like, I cannot believe where that 1 minute took me. So initially it was just the challenge. It was just knowing I could apply for it, really. It wasn't the money first off because that was kind of an afterthought. And then when you realise, you think 4.56 million, like, yeah, I want that.
Yeah. I mean, it is a massive amount of money. And throughout the games, obviously, when a person gets eliminated, the more money is added to the big piggy bank in the sky.
Yeah.
How did that feel every time someone got eliminated to see that amount go up?
Yeah, it was so surreal seeing that piggy bank fill up. I'd look at it and I'd be like, I want that piggy. It was insane because obviously I saw it completely empty. I seen that money first drop in, and that is a moment I just remember stood there with everyone in the dorm, and it was breathtaking almost. It was like, oh, it's real. Like, we are here and there is money there that we are going for, and it kind of drives you a little bit more as you get into it.
I imagine it would do, seeing that number go up and you realising it's going to come down to just 2 people in the end.
Yeah.
And that must have been quite like a difficult thing, but also motivating at the same time, I would think.
Yeah, definitely a motivation, because you stood there and 1 minute you're surrounded by hundreds of people, and as those numbers go down and down and down, you think, hold on, like, I'm actually really in with a chance here, because you turn up with people from all around the world, different expertise, and they're all bringing something completely different to the show and the game, which essentially is what it was. And you think, like, am I cut out for this? Should I have done some training and worked a bit harder to get here? But no, I was definitely up for the challenge.
Well, I think in regards to training, I remember in the show, there was a little interview snippet with you where you mentioned about your previous role as, I believe, was it a weapons engineer?
It was, yeah. It was, my official title was an engineering technician, weapon engineer, in the Navy. And yeah, that was also something I was like, I'm going to go and do that. And lo and behold, off I went with my suitcase, waving, to my family at the train station in Lime Street in Liverpool. And just like the show, it was an amazing experience. It really, really was. I absolutely loved it. And again, that was something that I was in, where you just make connections, you make friends for life, you meet people for life in there. And I did. And I've been lucky enough to do that again at Squid Game and meet people that I'll be friends with for life with.
So do you think any of those skills from that role were applied to your time within Squid Games The Challenge?
Yeah, definitely, because there was times where I had to be much more reserved in terms of, when you just want to speak out and you just want to say something, like, hold on a minute, what are you saying, or why are you doing that? But you have to reserve yourself. You have to hold back a little bit, because there's so many people ready to quick, jump on and eliminate you.
Oh yeah.
So that discipline and that was something I had to bring in. And also, in terms of just living in a dormitory with so many people, that was something I enjoyed, especially being an only child and always just being on your own. To suddenly be around people I actually really loved it. It was so comforting. So thankfully that wasn't a challenge.
Well, I'm glad to hear. But I was wondering, how did you hear about this in the first place?
It was an advert on Facebook. That's how I heard about it. Just doing my little morning scroll, and I seen it and I was like, oh, Squid Game. Yeah, go on then. I'll have a go with that.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I love that. I love that. So obviously one of the biggest things for me as a female viewer watching Squid Games The Challenge was the female alliance that was formed.
Yeah.
And as an audience, it seemed like it primarily came from you and your alliance with some of the other female players as well. It naturally seemed to come up, this drive to want to all band together, support each other. So I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit more about that and the thought process behind that?
Yeah, of course. So it kind of happened naturally, didn't it? It just seemed to come together. So obviously we all saw early on in the show that there was players like 432, like Brighton. He was really loud. He was a huge, prominent figure in the dorm. Everyone liked him. Everyone was drawn to him. I say everyone liked him. I'm now finding out a little bit. But we had, big, loud players in there. And the men were taking over, the loud players were taking over, and there wasn't really any women who were quite loud or, running and leading things in there. We all seemed to be taking a little bit of a step back, and the men were just going with it. And in hindsight, I didn't realise, but this happened naturally. It was working because they were picking each other off. We saw it happen to so many big players. We saw it happen to Dr. V briefly. He was another loud player in there. They picked him off. We saw it happen, obviously, to Brighton. They picked him off. Unfortunately, we saw it happen to our own Scouser Mutty. He was an amazing player in there.
I think, was he the first person to go?
He was, yeah. That was a
Oh,
shock. Yeah.
I was
That was
devastated.
like, I was like, no. But the tension in that moment, I'm going off on another story, aren't I? There's just so much to tell
That's
you,
fine.
Emily.
Honestly, I do that myself. Like,
but yeah, the tension in that moment when he went was just, it was insane. Like, it really was. But going back to the women, so yeah, they were all just picking each other off, and that worked for us. And then it got to a point where I think when TJ put himself out there as leader, because I don't really remember anyone saying, oh, TJ, you do that. I said, well, I'm wanting that, or any other suggestion. I was like, hold on a minute. Like, I was getting to know people. I was getting to know players, and I absolutely loved TJ. He was great, but he was too quick to make decisions. He would jump into things, and I was like, I'm not putting my fate in your hands. No, I'm sorry. Let's not make this happen. And I was starting to think, hold on, I need to take the reins back a little bit. I need to start being in charge of my own fate. And so we were starting to have conversations about how we were outnumbered. There was more than double men, than women, or at least half. And we were the quiet ones. They thought they could get rid of us, or at least, when you look at us all stood there when it's 31, there's that many friends, as in, there were a lot of the men were friends and were going to stick together, and we wouldn't have had a chance, not at all. So it needed to happen.
I think so, especially, no, I'm all for it. Like, because I was noticing, I was looking around. I mean, I am a raging feminist myself, so I'm always on the lookout, like, to try and help women do better, women supporting women. So I was noticing at that point in the game, I was like, there's not many women left.
No.
I was thinking, it's going to be a man, isn't it, winning? And, fair enough, if you're the person with the most amount of skill and the luck to get there, great. But it kind of often felt as well, although there was a lot of skill and luck involved, it was often a popularity contest.
It was, yeah.
It definitely...
And you're exactly right, Emily. When it came to TJ being chosen as leader and things, I don't know if you hear me in the show say it, but I was like, oh, it's just a popularity contest, and not everyone is going to like you, obviously, especially if you're not the loudest person in the room, or you're not getting to know everyone because you're just keeping yourself to yourself, and that might just be the way you are, and it shouldn't come down to that. And I kept saying, it's not fair, it's not about popularity, it should be how far, or like you said, if you've got through there because of skill and luck and chance, then so be it, but not because someone hasn't spoke to you or had a conversation with you. Fair.
Yeah, that was one aspect where I thought, I mean, the game, like, there are aspects where it's not fair, but I was like, that's not fair. Like, we just didn't even get to know that person. But one of the main things, it did become like a boys' club. And then to me, I was thinking, okay, well, they're all just going to form an alliance and immediately get rid of the women. They're just going to try and eliminate the women.
We saw it in Battleship, didn't we? At least what was tug of war, shall we say, when we went in that room and we got in lines. We saw it and we heard it when we were waiting there. Obviously, as people were trying to get into lines, there was people trying to get into, like, I think, was it line number 1, where it was predominantly male, or at least, the much physically stronger contestants in there. And they were telling people to get out the lines and things. And it was just like, I was like, oh my goodness, it was very much like survival of the fittest almost. It was like, no, you're not in the gang, off you go. And I was like, this is not going to happen to me. I was like trying to stand tall, and I'm like, I'm a big strong person.
I'd be hopeless. Like, my height, I'm 4 foot. No, 4 foot 11 and a half. The half counts. I won't let that go. Yeah. Like, honestly, I would just be obliterated in that game. Like, absolutely.
No.
Oh no, I would. Like, I'm a scaredy cat. I think
we're lucky we weren't doing tug of war on that big suspended bridge thing. I was happy about that.
Yeah, because even for the strongest of men, like, that is a difficult one.
It is. And you know what it is, Emily? So It doesn't show it in the dorm, but underneath my bunk was an American PE teacher. So I was like, I know what's coming up next. I want to get to know you. What are your skills? Like, come on.
Yes.
And he gave me a lot of information in terms of, we kind of already were forming a little bit of an alliance because of where we slept in the dorm.
Yeah.
And we went through like techniques, how to stand, what to do, and he ended up on my team, and thankfully we were able to bring him through in warships, or battleships as we know it. But yeah, so I was already thinking ahead and thinking like, what skills have people got, what can I do?
Brilliant. And getting back to the like the warships one, where everyone was assuming, okay, this is going to be tug of war.
Yeah.
And because of that assumption, like they were trying to form, like obviously the men were trying to form the strongest team in their opinion. They were thinking brawn over brains, and anyone who like had to join the weaker team with the women were like disheartened, disappointed, thinking, well, I'm going to be eliminated automatically. Yeah. And then thankfully I was so happy when it turned out to not be about brawn. Even if it was about brawn, though, the women would have had a chance. Like, we need to stop that sexism. Like, just because
that's
women,
not what it comes down to, is it?
Yeah,
you know?
No, you can be as strong as a man. Like, it all depends on if, you know, you dedicate your time to working out and building up that muscle, same as a man. Like, you know, so
don't underestimate us. Like, we have got a lot to give, and we'll challenge you, just as we prove that.
Absolutely. I did notice throughout as well. At the beginning on the show, anyway, it looked like you tend to keep a low profile, and then as it goes on, you came more and more out of your shell and showed that actually you can be a threat in this game. And that's, for me, what I enjoyed the most about your strategy is you didn't go in right away being like, look at me, I can beat you all. Like,
no.
Like, I really enjoyed the way that you played it. You played it respectfully. You were fair. You were a team player, and you got all the women supporting each other. So I really, really enjoyed that. I thought that was probably the most respectful and best way to play that game. And I was devastated. Spoiler alert if anyone hasn't seen episode 9. I was devastated to see you be eliminated. I was like, no.
Do you know, I've watched it once and I can't bring myself to watch it again. It's like, even though I lived it and I knew what happened, it's like, no thanks.
And poor Phil, when like you had to pick who it was, he was like, oh no, it wasn't me.
As soon as I took the blindfold off, and this is a spoiler, everyone, Callie was in my eyesight, and she looked very red. She instantly looked, obviously, at me, and it haunts me, Emilie, because it was like a beacon, you know, like I was just drawn. We like made eye contact, and her face was all red, and I just thought, you know, she had the blindfold on, that's why. And I tried to memorize everyone's position before I put the blindfold on. So I was looking at feet, I was looking at hair, I was looking at jackets, and I had nothing else to go on, because when you do have the blindfold on, you've got the guards walking around, so you hear their feet. So it's very distorting to pick up exactly what's happening. And I noticed my jacket had been folded in. That's why I was like, "My, sit up." I seen Phil's hair was now, I think, over the shoulder, and I was like, that is it, that's all I've got to go off. I've got nothing else.
I would have done the same.
As soon as I said the number, I was like, it's not them, it's actually not you. And I said to me student, like, they stood right in front of me, and I went, not you, is it? And they just give me like a little
he looked devastated that it wasn't him. Like, I think he, like, a part of him looked like he wanted to be like, it was me, because I think like he seemed to really like everyone and get on with everyone.
He did, and it was so lovely.
He is a bit sneaky though. Like,
we saw the change of character in that game, didn't
Yes.
we? You know, from being quiet filter, it was you.
Yes, it was like, I don't know, some kind of like Cluedo game that like he really took it seriously. He was like, I choose you, and I was like, this is so dramatic.
Yeah, it was very
I'm living
animated,
for it.
wasn't it? It was classic though. I loved it. I did love that.
It was, and it adds to the whole game. Like it is fun.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, one of my like favorite moments was when he got to eliminate Ashley, because she wasn't quite a team player, in my opinion.
I didn't know any of this, you know.
Didn't you?
No, I'm like, this is one of those moments when I watch it back and was like,
well, on Glass Bridge, you were further back. You were 19, your number. So,
and that's what you can't grasp, I think, from watching the show. So we're on a platform, and that was a big distance. And you've got people further ahead who are obviously all talking, you know, encouraging, but further back, knowing I was like one of the last numbers, I was like coming up with a song going, we need to go left, right, you know, and we were singing it, and we were like trying to keep everyone else, like, you know, encourage, keep them up and going on the platform. So you don't really connect with what's going on further ahead.
Yeah.
So I didn't really pick up what was going on.
And
there,
to be fair, they're all mic'd up for us watching at home, so you probably can't hear what's going on. But yeah, watching that scene, that made me really change what I thought about Ashley.
Yeah.
Like, I know only one person can win.
Yeah.
But you've still got to play the game. And that means forming alliances, being a team player. Because the next game, you
be respectful as well. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see a winner and go, oh, you know what? Yeah. I'm happy with that.
You want them to deserve the prize.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see her go. I know that sounds so bad. But to me, she didn't play it the way you're supposed to. She was far too cutthroat. And I was like, that's just, for me, I was like, I've lost some respect for how you've played this game now. Because what if the next challenge is a popularity contest again? Like, you're going to have a target on your back.
Yeah.
And you've got to be thinking about the next move as
and
well.
And I think she'd have gone for one of us now as well, looking at it. Like,
definitely.
I felt a moment actually where she was talking about splitting me being Elliot up. I didn't know about that. I was like,
Can't trust her. But speaking of people that you might not be able to trust.
Yeah.
What did it feel like in the moment during the female alliance bit where people were picking people?
Yeah.
For Mai to pick someone who you didn't quite expect?
We're happy, you know, because obviously we had got together. That conversation did take place. We all agreed what was going to happen, and to be honest, Chad, whom I chose, was very liked in the dorm. You know, so it wasn't. I don't feel as though they'd have been left behind anyway. So yeah, I was just like, oh, you're messing me, and honestly. I had no idea how it was going to play out. Genuinely was like everyone else, you calculating numbers, and I was thinking, I don't think I'm in with a chance here because I have stayed off the radar, maybe too much.
Well, thankfully, like you were able to make it into that bit, and then my heart was in my mouth though when there was just one female player left, and I was like, please pick her, please, because like. No one wants to be left alone like that. Like, you know,
that would have been horrific, wouldn't it? Leaving just one.
Yeah, it would have. So I'm glad that we're able to really equaled out the numbers.
Yeah.
And that was like ultimate favorite moment for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Do you know what? I felt like I'd achieved something after that. I really did. I come away from that like, oh wow. It was almost like an enlightenment moment, because I was like, that actually just happens. Like we made that happen. Yeah.
It honestly, without sounding like I'm being cheesy, that did feel like a historic moment. I was like,
it is.
We are seeing something amazing here.
Yeah, I think, you know, watching it back, it really does feel that way, and it did at the time, because we did change the game. We changed it, and I think it would have been so different had that not have happened. It'd have been a totally different gameplay, you know. It would have been all friends and all, you know, majority, shall we say, of the boys together, and I'd been sat at home fuming. But the game changed thanks to that moment.
Definitely. Do you think if that whole female alliance didn't happen, do you think in that moment you and some of the other female players would have been chosen?
It's hard to say. I don't think so. I definitely think I'd have been, if I'd have been chosen, I'd have been one of the last. Because as I said, I'd stayed off the radar a little bit, and majority of the women in there did as well. You know, although we had friends and we got to know people, we weren't as prominent as the men were. And you could feel that around the dorm.
Yeah, I think definitely, like with a few of them, I think was it 432, like he was very boisterous, loud.
Yeah. He was really respectful. Yeah. You know, in the dorm, he was really nice to me.
Well, they portrayed him like as kind of a villain a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like throughout the show. So it sounds like, from what I've heard from you and from different people, that maybe that wasn't quite as realistic. Maybe there was some elements that weren't shown, or it was made out.
See what he said to one of the other players in one of the corridors, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
So, you know,
that wasn't great.
As long as he, you know, he didn't in the dorm, he didn't come across as overpowered, and he was very loud. He was very popular. But yeah, he was always, you know, like respectful towards me. I didn't witness anything that I was like, what's he saying? Yeah. I didn't witness any of that firsthand. Now seen things on the show, like, but.
And I was wondering, is there any kind of behind the scenes knowledge that you can tell us of maybe how things were filmed, or what audiences might be surprised about with these games?
Do you know, there's one thing that needs to be said. When we were on the bridge, Mai was, I think Mai was one step behind me or one step in front. We were very close. And what people don't see, she was in front of me. What people don't see is she offered to take a jump, move ahead and take a jump, but very quietly. And this is after the whole friend info. And so when everything was quieting down, I went, go on then, Mai. You're gonna go jump.
Yeah, don't offer if you're not going to do it.
And she was like, oh, no. Chad said don't. No. And I'm like, you want everyone to think you're going to do it and you're a team player, but actually I've been watching you. I know you're not.
She is a sneaky one, but at the same time, she's likable as well. Like there's a likable element.
Now seeing what happens with Ashley and things like that, I'm like, but I've got the other knowledge of the things I witnessed, so I'm like,
I couldn't believe people. I couldn't believe, like, after when they got to like eliminate people with the dice game.
Yeah,
I was surprised how angry people were at Mai. I was like, you know, she's got the full right there to try and eliminate Ashley.
That's not what we agreed.
Yeah. I know it wasn't what anyone agreed, but
yeah,
in that moment I was like, I know it's not what people agreed, but I understand.
But no one else did really, though, as I said.
Yeah.
There may have been your person, but I certainly wasn't aware of what exactly happened on the bridge further up.
Yeah.
So to us, it looked like Trey was just taking all these jumps and then eventually was eliminated. And we were going, what's he doing? What's he doing?
Poor Trey.
We didn't know it was as a result of what Ashley was doing. So had we have known, maybe that dice game would have gone a little bit differently.
I think if everyone would have known, I think everyone would have eliminated Ashley. I think so, because in that moment, if everyone would have fully known that information, you'd want to get rid of her because she's more of a threat.
Yeah,
so I get why Mai did that. But with that conversation of people saying we're only going to vote for ourselves, if I was playing the game, which I wouldn't, but let's say that I did.
Yeah.
I'd be fine if I did too. But if I did, I would then go along because the majority have said that. Everyone seems to agree. And then I wouldn't want to have a target on my back.
You don't. Do you see when we vote for Mai to be like lead that? I'm like,
yes, there was
because
a bit
I'm
of
just like,
agreement,
don't start pointing the finger at me because I don't want to go with what everyone's saying right now. I was like, you've all decided anyway. So for me to go no wouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah, wouldn't have made a difference.
So it's like, okay, let's just go along with this, see where this takes us. But yeah, we could have played that very differently. And I don't know if many viewers have picked up on it, but because you had the choice of who to pass the dice to and who to nominate. So if we knew what was coming there, you could have teamed up. Like me and B, for instance, could have just chose to pass the dice between each other and nominate 3 people off. You could have done that. And I'm like, what?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think things could have played out very differently there.
Yeah.
But getting back to the Glass Bridge, for me, that was one of my favorite games to watch, like as an audience member, because of like the level of risk involved. I was wondering, how did that feel jumping from each one and knowing that there's a 50-50 chance each time?
Yeah, so I was very lucky here at this one. Because I had a high number and you were almost guaranteed to be safe, I would say. But the pressure kind of hit you on a different level when you stood there, because you think, what if I just jump on the wrong one? What if I just do it? And this is why we were coming up with the song, to be like, remember which one. And also you think, you're watching people ahead of you and you're thinking, oh no, like, for one, I know they're kind of begrudging me having a high number because they're like, oh, you're all right, you're not jumping. But you're like, I don't want you to jump through though, because it's not nice, is it? It's a proper 50-50 and that's it. Imagine jumping through and that's it, you're out. To like, oh no, I'd be human.
I did feel sorry for trying.
Yeah, at least with my game, there was a number of options I could have went with. Yeah. That was a 50-50.
So how did they go about filming
the Glass Bridge one?
Yes, yeah.
I think it was very much as it played out. There was no one like stopping and starting or anything like that. It was, you were on the platform, the time started, and we had to just work it ourselves. Like genuinely, like in the show, we had to just go with it. Obviously, the only time there may have been a stall is when someone was actually being eliminated. But it just, we had to roll with it. And it was high as well. We had to climb up to it.
So did people actually drop through?
Not contestants, no, because it would have been a health and safety issue to fall through.
Yeah.
So unfortunately not. I mean, I'd have got in and been like acceptable for someone, honestly. I'd been like, give me a go.
To be fair, there is a part of it that looks fun.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Just that adrenaline rush, like.
Yeah. And we had Roland in there, who's like a free runner. He'd have loved that. I would have been well up for that.
Oh, and there was that moment with, I think it was TJ, where he was number 1, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And to be number 1, and immediately, I mean, if we were playing the real Squid Games, that would have just been a death sentence right away.
Yeah. It was, wasn't it? It's like, but he put himself out there. He was willing to be leader, so that's why. If anyone was, because we were making like connections with people. So if anyone was willing to put themselves out there, that's why he was chosen. I think. How hard was that the first one, and then gone? We were like, it's real.
That was quite a sad moment, and Maya's reaction, I was like, oh no, like this is real now, like this. And because everyone reacts so dramatically, it does feel as if this elimination means death.
It does, yeah. And the panic when you stood there, though, like from the other players, they are panicking. They are worrying now, because you're like, actually, you do go. Like, because you think, oh, 50-50, come on, I can go for this. But no, when you see someone eliminated straight off, that I can see why some people would have been resistant to take that jump, to be honest. But
yeah, I get it. But was there
go for it?
Yeah. Was there any other games that were like your favorite to take part in?
The favorite to take part in, I think, possibly Dalgona, which was also the hardest. Or Dalgona, I'm not sure the correct pronunciation. So the cookie one, that would have been maybe the favorite and hardest, because everyone knows that game. Everyone's tried it at home. You know, we've all sat there sitting the sugar, like burning it up, and having a go, and it going wrong.
I'm actually planning on having a go, like during the intro to my podcast, like that we're going to be filming soon. We're hoping to be doing that.
Yeah,
so I'll have to let you know. I'll get on.
Well, I started by scraping it first,
Yeah,
and it was working. But then people were leaving before I was, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, how are they doing it?" And that's when you start licking it. So the licking does work, but I think I give myself a little head start in terms of defining the shape by scraping it.
Yeah, and just before you go, I've got this little game where we just guess who said it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you a line, and then you've got to guess what player, whether it's number or name, who you think said this line. Are we ready?
Go on then.
Well, you might get eliminated.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, you didn't get to do like a proper dramatic.
I know. I never got to, like, you know, be dramatic and like.
I would have enjoyed seeing that.
I did practice a few times in my head and things. I was gonna die.
Love that. Right, the first one. I work out. I mean, you do as well. Not sure about you, but we're all okay. I'll give you a clue. It's in the first game, red light, green light.
I work out.
I work out. I mean, you do as well. Not sure about you, but we're all okay.
Is it Brighton?
No, but you'd think that. You'd think so.
Who was it?
It was Lorenzo, 161.
Was it?
Yeah. There's a little moment where he was, I think he was trying to psych people out.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I work out, you work out. Not sure about you. Like, and I was like,
oh, yeah, like, all right.
Now, this next one, my personal favorite, this line. This is terrible.
Is that it? This is terrible.
That's it. This is terrible.
All of us. What game are we in?
It wasn't during one of the games. It was within the dorms. It was when people were being eliminated.
Is it B? Playing a game. Oh.
It was a man.
Oh. Is it Dan 204?
No.
Oh, I'm well dead here.
one more guess. Go on. I'll give you one more clue. They were a bit older.
Is it Leanne?
No.
I'm eliminated. Who was it?
It was Rick. 232.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's when his mate got eliminated. He was like, "This is terrible."
Now tell us about that chocolate.
Oh, didn't they at all?
And I sat on my bunk and I was like, I watched them go in the chore room and they come out and were ever suspiciously quiet. And I was like, what's going on here?
Yes. Well, last line now. And it's just 2 words.
Oh, gosh.
And this person shouts it, so I'm going to do an impression.
Go on.
Women power!
Women power!
Yeah. They like scream it across the dorm.
Oh. You stumped me. Is it Marina 77?
No.
Oh. Who was it?
No, it was Mai.
Was it?
Yes, it was Mai.
Oh, I picture it now when we were around there.
Yes, you proper like shouted it.
Oh,
So-
yes, I got that, mine.
Yeah. But as we're wrapping up now, who was your pick to win Squid Game the challenge?
Out of the top 3,
Yes.
can I choose 2?
If you really want to.
It would have been Phil or Sam.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
I think
Come on,
Phil
Phil.
is a dark horse. Like, I think he's got some talent and
One
skill.
to watch, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll be cheering if one of them 2 win.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I let me down.
Oh, well, this has been brilliant talking to you and getting to know all about your experience on the show. Thank you so much. It's been lovely.
Honestly, thank you as well. I love chatting to you. And that game, I got 0.
It was quite hard. I mean, there was like 400 and something players, so a lot of people. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Emilie.